second lecture. Today I will be discussing the second lecture, that is agro-climatic zones of India. Before going to the topic, you have to understand what is agro-climatic zone and why agro-climatic zone classification is required. So agro-climatic zone is a land unit in terms of major climate suitable for a certain range of crops and cultivars. The planning aims at scientific management of regional resources to meet the 4F, that is food, fodder, fiber and fuel wood, without adversely affecting the status of natural resources and environment. So based on the criteria of homogeneity such as rainfall, temperature, soil, topography, cropping and farming systems and water resources, so India has been divided into 15 agro-climatic regions. So one by one we are going to discuss here. And coming to the first one, Western Himalayan region. So this region consists three distinct subzones of Jammu Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh and Uttar Pradesh hills. So these soils are skeletal soils of cold region and podzolic soils and hilly brown soils. So these soils, steep slopes are very common. Skeletal soils means the rocky fragments are in higher percentage, and podzolic soils means, so these all are the clay particles are transported from one area to another area, and like that the soils are formed. So these soils are very prone to erosion hazards, and slides and slips are quite common. And the major crops cultivated in this region, that is rice, maize, millets, wheat and barley. So coming to the land use planning, up to 30% slope areas are generally used for the agriculture on terrace, and 30 to 50% slope areas are useful for the horticulture and silvipastures, and greater than 50% slope areas are generally used for the forestry purpose. So these are the skeletal soils you can observe here. So mainly greater than 30% of the area generally rocky fragments, and podzolic soils because of the deposition of the clay particles from one area to another area. So coming to the second region, that is Eastern Himalayan region, it consists Sikkim, Darjeeling Hills, Arunachal Pradesh, Meghalaya, Nagaland, Manipur, Tripura, Mizoram, Assam, Jalpaiguri, Coach Bihar districts of West Bengal, and in this area high rainfall and high forest cover can be observed. And shifting cultivation is very important in this region. 1/3 of the cultivation area comes under shifting cultivation. So what is shifting cultivation? So portion of the land area is utilized for the cultivation, and after harvest of the crop, the land is abandoned for freely growing of vegetation. So these soils are very prone to highly prone to soil erosion. So this is the drawback of shifting cultivation. Coming to the lower Gangetic plain, so this region consists, the West Bengal lower Gangetic plain region consists of 4 sub-regions, and it accounts 12% of the country's rice production. And the major crops cultivated in this region, so that is sesame, jute, mustard, rabi maize and potato, and the per capita availability of the land in this region, that is 0.095 hectare, and highest density of population, that is 692 per square kilometer area. So coming to the middle Gangetic plain, so it consists Eastern Uttar Pradesh 12 districts and 27 districts of Bihar plains, and geographical area is 16 million hectare, and high population, that is 85 millions can be observed in this area. And the cropping intensity, that is gross cropped area by net cropped area, so that is 142%, and the principal crop rice is grown in this region. So coming to the upper Gangetic plains, it consists Uttar Pradesh 32 districts, and it is also 3 subzones, that is central, northwest and southwest Uttar Pradesh, and the cropping intensity is 144%, and it has a good potential of exploitation of groundwater exists. In these regions, mainly the daira lands, that is flood prone areas, development vegetable crops is very important. The daira lands means, here you can observe a image. So these are the land areas for farmer due to the soil erosion and deposition of the sediments due to the flooding as well as the river flow during the Kharif season. So these are the called daira lands. Coming to the TRANS-GANGETIC plains, so these are the Punjab and Haryana region and Union territories of Delhi and Chhattisgarh and Sri Ganganagar districts of Rajasthan. And the major characteristics of this region is the highest net sown area and highest irrigated area and least poverty level. And the cropping intensity is that is 170%, and high groundwater utilization and rice wheat cropping system is very predominant in this zone. And next one, that is Eastern Plateau and Hills region. So it has 5 sub-regions, and these soils are mainly acidic, shallow to medium depth and 1 to 10% of the slopes, and rainfall nearly 1300 millimeter. An integrated watershed development approach is very important in this region, and the major crops, that is rice, is cultivated 82% under Kharif region. Red gram, groundnut, soybean, mustard, and vegetables also, the crops also can be cultivated in this region. Coming to the next one, that is Central Plateau and Hills region. It consists of 46 districts of Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh and Rajasthan. Irrigation and cropping intensity is very low in the Central Plateau and Hills region, and the literacy percent is low, and the poverty ratio is very high. The per capita availability of land is very high, that is 0.446 hectare, and 75% of the area under this region is under rainfed condition, and watershed management programs is to be implemented for increasing the um, that economy of the poor people. And next one, so Western Plateau and Hills. It consists of major parts of Maharashtra and parts of Madhya Pradesh and one district of Rajasthan, and 4 subzones, and forms a major part of peninsular India in this region. And annual average rainfall in this region, that is 904 millimeter area, 4 millimeter. Net sown area is 65% and irrigated area is 12.4%, and the major crops like sorghum and cotton, which are cultivated almost 50% of the area in this region, and fruit crops area, that is 1 lakh hectare, and this zone is known for the best quality oranges, grapes and bananas, and farmers adopting sprinkler and drip irrigation particularly for fruit and vegetable cultivation in this region. Coming to the 10th one, that is Southern Plateau and Hills region. So that is, it consists 35 districts of Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Karnataka and Tamil Nadu, and the rainfed farming area, that is 85% of the area comes under only rainfed, and the cropping intensity is only 111% only. The adoption of proven dryland technologies in watershed areas should aid agriculture in this area, and crop diversification has to be intensified, and crops that require less moisture should be preferred in this region, and poultry as an enterprise has developed quickly in many areas of this region. So coming to the next one, that is East Coast Plains and Hills. So it has 6 subzones, and the major crops like rice and groundnut are cultivated in this region, and watershed programs can be taken up to 6.45 million hectare, and drainage programs in south coastal Andhra Pradesh, that is Krishna Godavari Delta and Kaveri Delta, and these soils alkaline and saline soils occupied almost 4.9 lakh hectares, and the water resource, that is tanks, mainly 20% of the irrigated area. And coming to the community approach, it has desilting of the tanks, strengthening of the bunds and structures, and improvement of field channels. So these all can be taken by the community approach, and it has a long coastline, that is 2000 kilometer, and many inland waterways suitable for the fisheries development. And wastelands estimate to 25.33 lakh hectares, which are useful for that vast watershed development program. Coming to the next one, that is West Coast Plains and Ghats. So it includes the West Coast, parts of Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Karnataka, Maharashtra and Goa, with a variety of crop patterns, rainfall and soil types. Important zone for the plantation crops and spices and fisheries, and literacy is highest in Kerala, and the cropping intensity is 124%. Productivity of rice and millets are very low in this region, and diversification with horticultural crops like mango, banana and coconut is possible in this region, and fruit marketing and processing has a huge opportunities in this region, and zone is very important for the multi-stored cropping. So coming to the multi-stored cropping, here you can identify different growing of the different heights of the plants in the same piece of land at the same period of time. So that is nothing but the multi-stored cropping. You can see here, so different height of the crops, height of the plants are cultivated at a particular piece of the area at the same time. So that is nothing but the multi-stored cropping. So it is highly practiced in this zone. And next one, Gujarat Plains and Hills. So it includes Gujarat 19 districts, and it includes 7 subzones. Low rainfall areas can be identified, and irrigated area is 22.5% only, and 50% of the cultivated area is under fruit crops, food deficit areas, and important oilseed zone, and the cropping intensity is 114%. Nearly 60% of the zone is drought prone area, and major thirst in this zone is rainwater harvesting, dry farming, canal in groundwater management, and long coastline and river deltas for developing marine fishing and brackish and backwater aquaculture, it is a huge opportunities. And next one, western dry zone. So it includes the Rajasthan 9 districts, hot sandy desert, erratic rainfall and high evaporation, no perennial rivers and scanty vegetation. So these are the characteristics of this region. And the groundwater is very deep and brackish. Famine and droughts are more common in this region. Land-man ratio is very high, that is 1.73 hectare per person, and annual rainfall is 395 millimeter. Forest area is 1.2 percentage. Land under pasture, that is 4.3 percentage. And this is also cultural waste and fallow lands, that is 42 percentage. Net irrigated area is 6.3 percentage, and the cropping intensity is only 105 percentage only. Major crops under cultivation in this region, that is pearl millet, cluster bean and math during the kharif season, wheat and gram during the rabi season. The zone is mainly low productivity of crops, and development of silvipastoral system and energy plantations are required in this zone. And main water sources are Indira Gandhi Nahar project and DDP project also. So that is western dry region. And last one, islands region. Islands territories of Andaman Nicobar and Lakshadweep comes under this region, and rainfall is very high, very high, that is 3000 millimeter of rainfall. And large forest zone we can identify, we can see in the islands region. And undulating area and soil loss due to the soil runoff. And 50% of the crop area comes under coconut plantation only. And it can be said that smallest zone with a high literacy rate and low poverty levels. So by this the second lecture is completed. Thank you very much.